Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest and welcome to another technical update video. Score in the cricket 3 for 163, head 53, Smith 46. So instead of giving you the time, I'll give you the score in the cricket. So because you'll be watching this well after the cricket has been completed for the day, you'll know what happens in the next 30 to 45 minutes. Maybe I'll see a hat trick as I'm recording it, or maybe hopefully Smith will get a half century at least. And also BBL 14 starts this evening, and I have to set up my BBL Super Coach team. I don't take that too seriously, to be honest with you, and I don't expect to do that well. Anyway, for those who have no interest in the cricket, because this is a technical update video, we'll be looking at a lot of charts upon charts upon charts. So I think I pronounced that last charts a little bit wrong. Anyway, so what we're doing is going through indices, commodities, Bitcoin, probably the best looking chart among all those. And when I say all those, I mean commodities. And then we'll have a look at bonds. Been a bit of a tear the last 5 days, I noticed. Also have a look at currency. We'll have a look at cocoa. I had a quick look at cocoa. Been skipping that the last probably month and a bit. And I was really intrigued to see that chart. And then we'll have a look. I think it's 10 individual companies charts, including one I bought recently, one I probably should add on to my trading position, and then 8 other charts that look interesting for various reasons, positive and negative. Okay, so let's get into indices. And I don't have to go to the next chart because we'll start off with the XJO, the ASX 200. I was going to say 5 down days for the week. That's actually not technically true because on Monday, the XJO felt like it was down, but the XJO actually did rally during the day and finished up 0.02%. No doubt the next 4 days, the last 4 days in trading week were down and not down big. That's the other thing, all down by relatively small amounts. So even though it was a bad week in terms of down every single day except Monday, for the week, the XJO was only down 1.48%. Not that bad. And if you have a look at the weekly chart here, numerous weeks when the indices or this particular indice is down. Now, when it comes to down 4 days in a row, you don't usually see that. That actually happens quite rarely because typically if you see a really big down day, that's usually followed up by actually a bounce. We saw that in August, start of August, after that yen carry trade, 2 big down days in a row, and then a bounce pretty quickly. And whenever you see a down day, you see a nice little bounce. So when you see a consecutive 4 down days in a row that aren't that big, it doesn't happen all that often. I think it happened in January. Yeah, it happened in January. And it also happened, I believe, in April. Yeah, we had 4 down days in a row. Getting 5 down days in a row, that's even rarer. And if you move on past 5 days in a row, that's even rarer. I think even during like COVID-19, if we go back that far, when was it? 2020. How many down days did we have in a row? Because we saw a lot of really big up days as well. So initially we did see really, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down days in a row. And then 2 big down days and a bounce, 2 big down days and a bounce, 1 big down day, then a bounce, and then 2 big down days, small bounce, and then 1 big down day, and that was the bottom. So we didn't see this consecutive run of down days except for the start. Now, that does not mean that this is the start of a downtrend in the XJO. But if you go through the history, it is intriguing. Very rarely do we see multiple down days in a row, which means, just based off probability, next week should be good. Next week should be good. However, in saying that, I'm pretty sure the American markets were down. Oh, NASDAQ was up, of course. NASDAQ was up. Dow Jones was down. So there is a possibility we'll have another down day on a Monday. Maybe if tech does good, maybe that can lift us. But unfortunately, we are led by financials and mining, and it was not a good day when it comes to mining. We'll have a look at that in a second. Anyway, so let's go back to what's happening right now. In fact, we'll go back to the weekly chart. Oh, what's happening there? Oh, there we go. And interesting enough, if we just zoom in, so even though it was down 1.5%, what's happened? Where did it finish? The end of the week. It finished right on or just above the top of the trading channel. So maybe this is a support level. Maybe the top of the trading channel is now support. Or even though we have been above the top of the trading range for about 4 weeks or so, maybe even a little bit longer than that, maybe it's been a false break and will drop from here. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go either way. I have no idea about the future. I would say maybe you could argue the market's overvalued. That's definitely a feeling around there, particularly when it comes to the banks. And because banks have such a big proportion in the ASX 200, if they see a bit of weakness, if we see a bit of selling in the banks, that will drive the ASX 200 down. Okay, let's move on to the XSO. And unlike the XGO, which did have that slight up day on Monday, same cannot be said for the XSO. In fact, the XSO is now down 6 days or trading days in a row. So that started on Friday, the 6th of December. And in fact, it was just the top. Bit of a resistance zone when it started to fall. And it's been down 0.76, 0.77, 0.64, 0.14, 0.7, and then 0.12% on Friday. However, on Friday, it was a bit of a bounce. There was a little bit of buying coming in on that day. And the buying came in, interesting enough, at a support zone right there at about 3,105. That was the bottoms the XSO saw back in November. Not that long ago, but that was a support level. So bounce off there. So at this point in time, XSO is trading in a range. Now, this range has only been in existence for about 2 months, but it's trading in a range. Up to 3,000, what is it? 3,230 is the top of the range, and the bottom of the range is about 3,105. Anyway, so a pretty negative week for the XSO, down, if I remember correctly, 2.34. Wait there, is that right? Yeah, 2.34%. It's a little bit more than the XJO. Okay, so that's all I got for the Australian indices. Nothing too negative just yet. They're still in uptrends, although you could say XSO is showing signs of maybe consolidation moving sideways. But definitely, the XJO is still in an uptrend. This is just maybe a buy the dip situation. In fact, where the XS or XJO gets sort of in between the short-term moving average channel and the longer-term moving average channel, that is a time to buy. We've seen that numerous times. That is a time to buy, and that's where it is right now, or very close to that level. Anyway, okay, so let's move on to just looking at the Cricet, head 61 and Smith 48. Now let's move on to the American indices. Start off with the NASDAQ, and all systems go, just steaming forward the NASDAQ. Weakness in the XGO, weakness in small caps, not only in Australia but also America. Even weakness in the Dow Jones. Same cannot be said for the NASDAQ. It keeps on going up. And that includes on Friday session up 0.76%. In fact, I'll have a look at some of my companies to see which of those companies are up. It's probably Tesla again. In fact, let's do it right now. Let's do it right now. We'll go to see, in fact, I don't have to do that. We'll go to see my companies I own. In fact, TSMC, Tesla both up by over 4%. Novo Nordisk down 3.89%. PayPal, another. In fact, PayPal chart looks pretty good. Well, this chart looks brilliant. There's me trading at a border trading position at 66.40. I've had also have a long-term position in this, and I thought that definitely the trend was changing back in the start of this year, and it broke out back in August, September. And this chart looks absolutely brilliant. So it looks pretty good. In fact, most charts that I have look pretty good. Anyway, this is not about looking at my portfolio. Let's go back to, what was it what about? In fact, I have to go to my video technical watch list. So let's go back to the NASDAQ. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, the NASDAQ. It also reached an all-time high, it looks like, on Friday session. Yep, all-time high on Friday session. And yeah, it just keeps going up. So I had been more bullish when it comes to the Dow Jones Industrial for a while, and now I'm a little bit more bullish when it comes to NASDAQ, just because the chart or the indice is at an all-time high. So that's actually a good sign. We want to see things keep moving to an all-time high. That's actually good. Some investors are nervous, hesitant when buying at an all-time high, but when you think about it, there's no resistance. If something's at an all-time high, there's no resistance. Everyone's in the green, and that is actually a pretty good thing. Now, it could lead to a bubble, could lead to things getting overvalued. That's definitely true, but a NASDAQ just keeps on going up. Anyway, and in fact, for the week, the NASDAQ was up 0.73% after being up 3.31% last week. Now, same cannot be said for the Dow Jones Industrial. In fact, I said that about the NASDAQ because every other index is down, except maybe the DAX. I think the DAX was up. And then let's have a look at the Dow Jones Industrial for the week. Down 1.82%. So fairly similar than the XJO. But if you have a look at the weekly chart, this is nothing to be concerned about. It's a slight little dip, probably buy the dip situation. Maybe not there just yet. But if you do have a look at the daily chart, just like the XSO, it has been down, I think, 6 days in a row. In fact, it could be 7 now. So down 0.55, 0.28, 0.54, 0.35, 0.22, 0.53, 0.2. So no big drops in there, but 7 down days in a row. So going from all-time highs down 7 days in a row. And if you have a look at where the daily chart is now for Dow Jones Industrial, it's in a sort of buy the dip situation. We've seen these little dips before. In fact, we see it quite regularly, and it's sort of in that zone where maybe we can see it going or moving higher from here. So again, nothing to be concerned about when it comes to Dow Jones Industrial. We see this all the time. In fact, when was the last time we saw it down 7 days in a row? It did get close just back in October, but we did see one update there. We might have to go back a fair way to see 7 down days in a row. Maybe back in April. 1, 2, 3. Oh, no, there was one day. No, that was down to 0.01. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, there was one slight update. So close in April. Anyway, so it'll be interesting to see when the last time the Dow Jones Industrial was down 7 days in a row. But the most important thing here is the down days aren't that big. They're pretty small drops. So it probably sounds worse than it actually is. Now, let's have a look at the Russell 2000. How's the small caps doing in the United States? And just like the Dow Jones, we've seen consecutive down days in a row. There was one update that was on Friday last week, up 0.54%. There was actually an update. It looks like on the Wednesday, it was up 0.48%. So we haven't seen 7 consecutive down days for the Russell 2000, but it has pulled back from a resistance level, and that is around about 2,440. Has pulled back, but again, this could be a buy the dip situation for the Russell 2000. And not that long ago, in November, we saw 4 bigger down days in a row, and then it bounced quite violently. Anyway, so if we go back to the weekly chart for the Russell 2000, down 2.58%, so a little bit more weakness in the small caps than in the bigger companies, but that's sometimes true. That can be true for small caps, not only in America, but also in Australia. A little bit more volatility there. And you can just see it pull back from the resistance level, which was the highs this particular index we saw back in November 2021. Okay, so let's move on to the international indices. And we'll start off with the Nikkei. And in fact, I'll stay with the weekly chart just to see how these indices performed on a weekly time frame. And the Nikkei was actually up. There you go. Nikkei up 0.97%. I'm pretty sure the DAX is also up. But otherwise, Nikkei just going sideways for a little bit, but still in a weekly uptrend. I don't think you can say the same thing when it comes to the daily chart. Still really going sideways, but if anything, slowly going upwards. Now let's move to the Hang Seng. We'll go back to the weekly chart. Hang Seng, Smith, by the way, is 49. Oh, no, that was head. Just got to run. Anyway, Hang Seng up 0.53%. I was completely wrong. I thought it was only a few indices up, NASDAQ and DAX, but looks like it was okay week for the Asian market. Now, in saying that, there is a bit of a long shadow above the main body for the Hang Seng, and that tells us there's a little bit of selling during the week. And if we have a look at the daily chart for Hang Seng, you'll probably see it. Yeah, there was a big down day. And when I say down day, I don't mean in terms of the end of the previous day to the end of that particular day. It was from the start of that day to the start of the next day. And that was on Tuesday, down 0.5%. But if you have a look at the whole day, it went from 21,070 down to 20,311. That must have something to do with stimulus. Maybe people were disappointed with the stimulus package for China. I have no idea. Anyway, well, overall, the daily chart looks interesting, not bullish, because it has been going down for about 2 or 3 months. If you have a look at the weekly chart, it is showing signs of maybe turning. It is showing signs of maybe turning, both the weekly and daily. But that big run up on that first rumors of stimulus in China, that was just too much. If we didn't see that, I'll be actually a little bit more bullish. If we saw more orderly, like this, if you can see my arrows there, if we didn't see a massive run up, I'd like this chart way more than I do right now. Okay, so now onto the DAX. We go back to the weekly chart. And I have a feeling this is up. I could be actually wrong. I'm probably wrong here. It was up. It was up. Okay, it was up 0.1% after being up a lot last week. So 3.86% last week. Now, for anyone following the news, I think I mentioned this last week. German economy is in the toilet. It's absolutely in the toilet. In fact, I think I just Googled it. I'm reading and hearing about Germany's economy in the toilet. It's just going horribly at the moment. In fact, I heard something this morning that the whole weakness in Europe is because of Germany, because they're a little bit more reliant on manufacturing and the rest of the economy is a little bit more reliant on services. And there is a lot of weakness in manufacturing in Germany right now. So let's just have a look at some of the latest news about Germany. So Germany faces lethargic growth, potential hit from Trump. France and Germany in turmoil. How would that affect EU economy? German economy will hardly grow in 2025. German manufacturers warned of the sector's formidable crash. That was 4 weeks ago. How is Germany's economy today? So this just shows you that there's sometimes a lack of relationship between the stock market and the economy. The DAX is a perfect example of that right now. If you had a look at the DAX weekly, you'd think the German economy is in a beautiful state right now. That's not true. So something else is going on here. I don't know the complete makeup of the DAX index. There could be some really, by the way, Smith just got his half century, completely missed it. The chart looks beautiful. And you'd just think the German economy is doing fantastically well right now. Now let's move to the FTSE, which has been doing nothing. And did it do anything this week? No, just did nothing. In fact, it's a doji. Down slightly, 0.1%. It's been going sideways, the FTSE, for about, we'll say 7 months, maybe even 8 months right now. Just going sideways. That's the weekly chart. You can definitely see that better on the sideways movement on the daily chart. Just going sideways. So moved into this channel back in April and just going sideways. I still remember talking about the FTSE back in November when it got towards the bottom of the channel, and I was thinking, oh, this could be negative or positive, and then it bounced. And it also almost bounced all the way back up to the top of the trading channel, almost. And it's been slowly going down since then. Anyway, so we'll say I'm neutral when it comes to the FTSE, neither positive nor negative at this point in time. I'm just waiting for a breakout. And that breakout could be a positive one to the upside, or could be negative to the downside. And if I saw this, if this was a stock chart, I'd be thinking the same thing. I'm just waiting for a breakout. You could trade it, buy at the bottom, sell at the top. You could do that, but I don't usually do that. Now onto commodities. I thought this video was going to be between 30 and 45 minutes. At this point, that's almost impossible. So already 18 minutes in. Okay, let's have a look at gold. 2 bad days in a row at the end of the week. I was feeling very positive when it comes to gold during the week, but that's quickly turned negative. Down 1.35% on Thursday and another 1.24% on Friday. And the reason I'm concerned about that is because the price of gold pulled back right at the previous high. So that was on towards the end of November. You can just see it was on a nice little rally, and then pulled lower significantly on the 25th of November, down 3.36%. And I just wanted to see it keep on moving up from there and then get to a new high. So a little bit less bullish when it comes to gold because of what happened on Thursday and Friday. And if you have a look at the weekly chart, probably flat. Yeah, flat. So the start of the week was positive, the end of the week was pretty negative. And again, another doji. So up a little bit, but still, yeah, up a little bit, 0.56%. But the weekly chart still looks okay. The weekly chart, still in an uptrend, but the daily chart, little bit less so. So it all depends on your time frame. I'm pretty sure if you have a look at the 1 minute chart, which a lot of day traders would, you're probably, yeah, negative. Yeah, this is the day chart, or the 1 minute chart, not the day chart. And this is negative. So all depends on your time frame. In fact, it moved into a downtrend on the 13th of December, so not long ago. That's 2,688 and has moved down since then. And yeah, if I was day trading this, I wouldn't be in gold right now just because of this 1 minute chart. Or maybe if you look at 5 minute charts, it's probably in downtrend even there yet. In fact, if you look at the 5 minute chart, it's been in downtrend since about the 12th. Maybe some look at 1 hourly charts. I think that's definitely a possibility. And yeah, that looks negative as well. Okay, so let's go back to the daily chart. And let's turn our attention to silver. And silver had a bad day as well on Friday. I was looking or feeling much more positive about silver on Wednesday. I thought, oh, it's breaking out. It's going back above this this level, very important level at $32.50. This has been a support and a resistance level, and looked like it was breaking above it. And then on Thursday, went down big. Silver, I wouldn't say collapsed, but it did fall 4.1% and down a further 1.87%. So 2 big down days in a row. The interesting thing is silver is in an uptrend, and silver has just hit that uptrend line, which is this sloping dashed line. So if it falls through that, that would be a negative move. We did see a little bit of buying as it hit that line, that trend line, and there it is. It hit that trend line at 1 a.m. local time, so that's Brisbane time, on Saturday morning, and then went sideways from there. There was a nice little bounce in that hour. Nice bounce in that hour. You can just see a massive amount of selling in silver really started on about 8 p.m. Thursday, and it continued all the way into Friday morning. So more than likely, a lot of silver companies' share prices were down on the Friday session here because of what happened overnight on Thursday into Friday. Anyway, let's go back to the daily chart for silver, and let's move on to copper. Copper, another commodity down. And to be honest with you, I have zero thoughts when it comes to copper right now. I'm not seeing any trend. In fact, I'd say it's trendless, maybe friendless. Where's all the bullishness when it comes to copper? We were hearing a lot of that a year ago, 2 years ago, can't remember. Not hearing any more bullishness when it comes to copper. And you can see that in the trend. There's nothing happening with copper right now. It is trendless. That's true for the daily. Is it true for the weekly? Yeah, even true for the weekly. There's not much trend here. So let's move on to iron ore. What's happening with iron ore? This is another one where there's not much trend. And that's definitely true here. Going sideways for a long time. I don't have any iron ore companies right now. And this is the main reason why. Now, if you have a look at the daily chart, this could be looking interesting. If we start to see rally in iron ore here, this would be looking way more interesting. So I'm keeping an eye on iron ore just on this daily chart. It's starting to look interesting. So that's what I want to see it go up from here, and that would be pretty good for iron ore. So who knows? Again, I don't know which way it's going to go. So this is a case of me just looking at the chart, seeing it move in the direction that would be good for the chart and the movement for iron ore. What would cause that? Well, China's stimulus or Chinese stimulus, that would cause some bullishness when it comes to iron ore. But yeah, that was the Chinese stimulus story during the week was pretty disappointing. What about uranium? Down 2% on a Friday. This is the daily chart. And again, this is another one of the commodities that's trendless right now. I'd say that's true for copper, iron ore, uranium. It's trendless. There's no trend here. I don't own any uranium companies. In fact, I did go through and usually do go through all the charts of uranium companies, and not many of them I do like right now. Maybe NextGen. That was one that was a little bit different from the rest. What's the ticker code in Australia? I forget the ticker code in Australia. Oh, look at them all. Heaps of next gens here. I do have it in my uranium. So let's have a look at NXG. Next Gen Energy. Okay. Yeah, so this is when you compare this particular chart to some of the uranium companies, not that bad. Better. So something is happening with next gen energy that's a little bit different than the other uranium companies. For instance, if you have a look at Boss Energy, for instance, this was a popular company. It's a little bit different. In fact, this is in a downtrend and is very close to the lows we saw back in September. So definitely different charts. So even though you might be bullish or bearish on an individual commodity, also have a look at the individual company's chart. And a prime example of this is Peninsula Energy. This is a uranium company with a project in Wyoming, and it's never looked good. So uranium looked good for a while, for a long time there, and this chart never looked good. For a slight period of time it did, but then it turned negative in 2022 and has been in downtrend ever since. Probably something to do with the management, I would assume. Okay, so let's go back to the technical. And commodities, that's right. So we just talked about uranium. What about oil? This is another trendless one. Another trendless commodity. In fact, I'd say oil has been trendless for years. The reason I say that is if you have a look at the weekly chart, yeah, there's been no significant long-term trend in oil for a long time. And maybe you could say between 2010 and 2015, maybe there was a bit of a trend there. But the last significant trend was between 2002 and 2008. And in fact, oil at one point got to about $150, fell all the way down to $40 during the GFC. And really no significant trend. Oh, yeah, maybe say this was a significant trend coming out of COVID-19. But yeah, it wasn't that long. It wasn't that long. It was a few years. It was a few years, I suppose. Anyway, so if you have a look at the daily chart for oil, nothing. I still think if it falls below $65, that would be fairly negative, but there's no reason to be excited about oil right now. I could also have a look at gas, lithium, coal. I had a quick look at coal, and this one looked a little bit more negative. So I was thinking this one has potential to turn into an uptrend. Not anymore. But it's possibly at a low point. So it's right at the previous lows we saw in September. So maybe this is sort of a buy the dip situation. Maybe this is the lowest it's going to get. But if it does fall any lower, that would be fairly negative. And I haven't gone through any of the coal companies' charts yet. So New Hope's nothing right there at this point in time. What's another one? Whitehaven. Anything here to be excited? Not really. What was the other one? Yancoal. I think these are three major coal companies. And this one, remember they said they were going to suspend the dividend or something. Share price on that day dropped 14.5% and went all the way down to 520. Well, if you bought on that news, you've probably done okay. This is probably the best looking chart out of the three coal companies I just showed you. Other than that, tin, nothing. Nickel, nothing. Palladium, nothing much happening there. So let's move on to cocoa. So I actually haven't had a look at cocoa chart for a while. And then I had a look at it and went, whoa, hello. Yeah, this has been on a run for about a month. Yeah, just about a month. And it's at the previous highs. Right on the previous highs, perfectly. So this could be a time to sell your cocoa futures, maybe. Time to get out, take profits, and sell. I don't know how you do that, but you would know how to do that because you've got some cocoa futures. So maybe some problems with the crops in West Africa. I'm pretty sure that's where most of the cocoa is grown. Cocoa news. Cocoa prices settle sharply higher on concerns about West African cocoa. Cocoa prices surged on mounting fears over West African cocoa's crop. Cocoa prices settled higher on deterioration of the West African cocoa crop. Maybe stop being so reliant on West African cocoa. Although I have no idea how to grow cocoa, and maybe conditions in West Africa are perfect, ideal for cocoa. And I would also assume that people are, I won't say anymore, people are abused over there. Okay, 3 for 210, Smith 51, Head is 93. So Head, I'm pretty sure, has gone from like 70 to 93 since I've started recording this video. He's just, there's one player, just one player in the Australian lineup, batting lineup, that I have confidence in, and that is Head at this point. The rest, no. Maybe Smith is turning things around, but a nice shot from Smith. He's just done a bit of a sweep there. Not a sweep, a pull, and got a 4. Anyway, let's move on to Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin's been interesting the last few weeks because we have seen on occasion Bitcoin prices plummet and then recover very quickly. So we saw that on the 6th of December. Was that the first time or was that the second time? No, that was the first time. You also saw it plummet back on the 10th or the 11th. But the big plummet was on the 6th. And what was interesting about that was just the tweets. So all the bears, the Bitcoin bears came out and, this is the end for Bitcoin. I also read some tweets saying, I'm selling Bitcoin at $100,000 and I'm buying back in at $30,000. Well, good luck. Have a look at the chart. The chart is actually really positive, and Bitcoin has finished above, well, not finished because it's still trading. Bitcoin right now is above $100,000. That's a very important psychological level. So all those who bought and sold, or I shouldn't say bought, all those who sold $100,000 thinking they're going to buy at $30,000, if it keeps going up, they'll go, I should have sold. And there's a chance I'll buy back in because of that. So again, round numbers are really important. And the very fact that I saw so many tweets about people selling $100,000 at $100,000, it's a significant psychological level. And if Bitcoin can stay and remain above $100,000, that's a really bullish move, And you can see it having trouble staying above $100,000 for about, to be honest with you, it started in the 22nd of November. And over the last few days, it hasn't fallen back below $100,000. In fact, if you have a look at the daily chart, the 1 hourly chart, the last time it was below 100,000 was on Saturday at 2 a.m. So that's not that long ago. So it's a day and a half. That's because Bitcoin trades all the time. But even then, when it did fall below $100,000 on Friday and Saturday, it was only briefly, and it was only slightly below $100,000. So that's telling us there was not a lot of selling. So I think $100,000, the psychological barrier of $100,000 is being overcome quite easily when it comes to Bitcoin. Okay, so let's go back to Ethereum. So this has no psychological level. Maybe 4,000 is a psychological level for Ethereum. And it does look like, just based off this chart, that 4,000 is a bit of a level because it did or is having trouble getting above that level. It rose suddenly to 4,000 on the 6th and then fell away. And it got to 4,000 again on the 12th and then fell away. I think this will get above 4,000 eventually. If you have a look at the weekly chart, has 4,000 been a significant level in the past? Yes, it has been a level, fairly significant level in 2024. And the whole reason, in fact, I can get rid of this downtrend now. I'll get rid of these other levels as well. But for Ethereum, without doubt, look at that, perfectly. And again, people say, technical analysis doesn't work, or resistance and support levels just don't work. There's nothing behind them. Have a look at Ethereum's chart. It got to 4,000 in March, 4,000 again in May. It's got to 4,000 again in right now, in December. So if it gets above 4,000, that would be a breakout because it's a psychological level for this particular asset, if you want to call Ethereum an asset. Now, further afield or longer afield, another portal level for Ethereum is probably 5,000. It got very close to 5,000 back in 2021. Okay, so that's Bitcoin and Ethereum. Both look pretty good. In fact, I'd say they are the stars of the week. And let's have a look at bonds. I did have a look at bonds, and I was a little bit surprised to see how much bonds had rallied in the past week. And you can definitely see that in the daily chart. Just 5 up days in a row. So is this correlated to the market? So remember, I wonder if there is a bit of a correlation there between, say, the Dow Jones and the 30-year bonds. Because, look at this rally in the bonds, bond yields, not the bond prices. Bond prices are going down. Don't forget, bond prices and bond yields are inversely related. So if you see bond yields going like this, bond prices are dropping. And I can confirm that just by looking at the TLT ETF. So, and this will be the complete opposite. Look at that, complete opposite. 5 down days in a row, except on Tuesday, it was flat. No, it was still down 0.47%. So there is definitely correlation. There's an absolute negative correlation between bond yields and bond prices. I've explained it before. I don't think I should explain it now. But if you want me to explain why bond yields and bond prices are inversely related, I will explain it in another video. But in fact, I'm gonna ask you this. If you don't understand it, just imagine you bought some bonds that had a 5%. What do you call it? The coupon rate, whatever you call it. No, we'll say 10% coupon rate, and then bond yields drop to say 2%, and you had some bonds that were paying out 10% per year. Other people could buy bonds bonds at 2%. How valuable would your bonds be? Yeah, 10%. People will be willing to buy a fair bit for your bonds because they're paying 10% instead of the 2% they could buy. So bond prices are going up. Conversely, say you bought some bond yields at 1%, and this happened to a lot of banks, by the way. They were buying bonds when they were yielding like 0.5%, and then when bond yields started to go up, prices started to fall, and this affected that bank, the Silicon Valley Bank, because they had a lot of bonds on their assets, and when the bond prices started to go up started to go down because bond yields started to go up, their assets on their books were devalued. They were much less. So if you have a bond of 1%, so this is probably the better way to explain it. If you had a bond at 1%, you bought a bond that were giving you a 1% return, a yield, whatever you want to call it, every year, 1%, and then bonds went to 10%. Who's going to buy your bond who is giving people 1%? No one. You have to decrease the price significantly for people to buy it, because 1% versus 10%, everyone's going to gravitate towards something that's giving a 10% yield. So that's why there's a inverse relationship between bond yields and bond prices, simply because of that relationship. Less demand for your particular bond. Hopefully that's explained. And maybe I'll do it again one day. All right, so bond yields got a bit of a rally. So in a week, up 3 or 4%. What was that? Let's have a look. 6.1%. Let's have a look. Bond yields rise. There's probably be some news about this. Bond yields rise ahead of rate decisions. Thought there'd be more news about that than that. Maybe I'm just not Googling the right thing. Maybe I should. Isn't there like a AI something here? I don't know. Sometimes AI pops up to give an answer. Sometimes it doesn't. Anywho, let's move on. Let's move on to currency. Finally, currency. Oh, head is 98. Every single time I look, and Smithy 62. They are tearing the Indian tack apart. Partnership 151. Pretty good day for the Australians, and Travis Head looks like he's going to get us a second century in a row. Anyway, currency, weekly currency chart, not looking good. I probably should have converted some of my Australian dollars to US back in September when it got to 69 cents, but I thought maybe it's going to start moving higher. And nothing much to talk about when it comes to the Aussie dollar. So let's move on to the individual companies chart. And we'll start off with a company I bought recently, and that is Motorcycle Holdings. Yes, company, Motorcycle Holdings. I'll not call this company high quality at all. They sell motorcycles. That's all I know. They sell motorcycles because it's in its name. And let's have a look at daily charts. So all these, I'm going to have a look at daily charts. They did release something quite positive on the 27th of November. I can't remember what it was, but it must have been positive because the share price is up. Well, share price went up significantly that day. I can't remember what it was. It would have been a positive trading update, maybe at their AGM. So let's have a look and see what happened on that day, 27th of November. Yeah, AGM presentation. I don't remember reading this. All I remember was seeing the share price rally on that day, up 14.15%. The most important thing is what happened after that. There was no selling. In fact, the share price slowly drifted upwards. So that was a good sign moving forward. And then on Thursday's session, share price went up 4%. I do like this trade at this point in time, but this one could move either way. You can see that over time. This does move in trends. So some of these trends can last a long time. You can see a massive downtrend from start of 2018 all the way through to the COVID-19 financial panic. And then it was in a nice uptrend, then a downtrend. So this does tend to move in trends. So I'm hoping this is a start of an uptrend. Now I'm wondering, are people more excited to buy motorcycles now? I don't know. Anyway, I just playing the chart. That's it. Not questioning it. I'm just playing the chart. The chart looks pretty good. Now let's move on to another company I do own, trading right now, and that's Bravura. And I've been thinking I should add to this one. I've held off, but it's holding up really good. So another really positive update from Bravura. I bought it $1.26. This was not on any positive news. It was just a bit of a breakout. I just thought, oh, this is a positive looking chart. After being negative for a little bit of time, slightly negative, this is starting to turn around, slowly going up since then. And then the company released something really positive on the 4th. Share price went up 20.85% on that day, went up another 7.5% the next day, and then 2.8% on the next day. So 3 good days in a row. And since then, it's just been going sideways. So again, not a lot of selling. I'd love to see this go sideways even longer. I wouldn't like to see it move or drop a little bit more, but this is a good sign that there's no selling. It's not dropping. So I think this has more to move from here for Bravura. So the question is, will I add to my position? That's the big thought right now. And I should have added on the day they released this positive announcement because it ended at the high of the day. That's a really good sign as well. Now let's look at some other charts that I'm interested in for various reasons, either positive or negatively. Now, this one is, I think I might have showed you this chart last week. This is PeopleIn. Now, on Friday, the share price did get above $1 and then pulled back. So share price went to $1.03, then finished at 98.5 cents. The very fact that we didn't see much selling coming in after 4 big up days in a row at the start of December, the fact that we didn't see much selling is a good sign. This has the hallmarks of a shift in trend and a shift in sentiment. Just got to not adjust. I've got to, where is it? I've got auto fit. For some reason, TradingView changes the auto fit settings just randomly. So this has the hallmarks. I'm not sure if I'm there just yet, but I can definitely see myself buying some shares at $1 if I see it break out above that level. And definitely if I see a pullback. So this is the first time I've been not bullish, but really keenly looking at this one for a while. Now, I bought on a big dip back in December of last year. So 1 year ago, I bought on this dip to $1. I expected a bounce, and heads got his century. Yep, 101, hit a 3, off Bumrah, or Bumrah, whatever you want to pronounce it. Anyway, so if you have a look at this particular chart, there's been no reason to be excited about PeopleIn since 2022. So we're talking about almost 3 years ago. Share price has dropped from about $4 all the way down to below $1. But definitely something is turning positive for this company. So the market could be thinking some good news is in the pipeline for PeopleIn. I wouldn't be surprised if the company releases something positive within the next month, just based off this chart. So I'm very close to taking a position in PeopleIn. And unlike last December, that was a short-term trade, expecting to bounce. This would be hopefully a longer-term uptrend developing. So very, very keen on PeopleIn. Tabcorp, this is an interesting one. I don't think I would take a trade position in Tabcorp at all. I don't like the company, and I should be setting aside my biases when it comes to all companies. And there's reasons I don't like this company, but this is actually an interesting chart. It's a very orderly uptrend developing. Just keeps on going up. A few days in there, we see it down, but it's following this uptrend and quite nicely. That's the way I would trade this if I was. Just follow this uptrend. If it remained above the uptrend, I'd keep on holding. If it fell below, I would sell. On Friday, the share price did rally 4.4%. So that's a really good day. And the last time the share price was this high was only in August. So we're not talking about a long time. But this is another instance where it does look promising for maybe a shift in sentiment and a trend in the share price. I think I need more proof about this one. Share price has been a downtrend since September 2023, so over a year, but it's definitely looking more interesting for Tabcorp. Definitely one I do have on my watch list. Now, I also own Kogan, but it's a long-term position. And I have been thinking, I don't think Kogan is a high-quality company, but Yep, I just watched just one delivery. Smith the ball almost right onto the stumps, but that's okay. Kogan is one I thought this has the potential to be a high quality company. I think maybe less so now, but I still have a longer term position in this company. And I've been looking at this particular chart. So the share price went up fairly rapidly at the end of last week, Thursday, Friday, and we saw no selling during the week. Share price just went sideways. This is what I'm looking for. You see a rally in the share price, and the share price just goes sideways. That's usually, not always, but that usually is a good sign that there's more upside in potential. Now, the last time the share price was this high was back in April, so we're talking about at least a 6-month high. That's good. This is definitely a chart and a trade I'm willing to partake right now. So Kogan, I'll put that alongside PeopleIn. I'll put Tabcorp just below those two companies, but I do like what we did see in the last week for Kogan. Now on to Monadelphous. So I don't think I've talked about this for a while. This is another one possibly turning positive. Not sure if I'm just there just yet. Yeah, if you have a look at the weekly chart for Monadelphous, there's nothing to be excited about this at all. Now, I do remember this company back, 2000, I think must have been 2010 to 2011. There was a lot of interest in this company. You saw it was in a beautiful uptrend. Share price reached a high in 2013 of about $28. And then the share price fell from $28 down to $5. And that low of $5 in 2015 was at the bottom of the iron ore cycle. If you have a look at BHP's chart, that was when their share price reached a low. Have a look at iron ore prices. That's when iron ore prices reached a low. So obviously, this is the mining services company, and they are still, their performance, financial performance, is dependent on commodity prices, because they're servicing mining companies, and if mining companies are under pressure, they might do some cost cutting, and that would affect mining services. So I always think of mining services company as cyclical companies that are still beholden to underlying commodities. Now, if you want to do a deeper dive into Monadelphous just to see how much exposure they have to iron ore, it might be really low. Maybe they have more exposure to gold, but definitely it seems like they have fairly big exposure to iron ore just based off this chart. Anyway, the whole point about this is I'm looking for potential shifts or share prices that are moving into uptrends. And this is another one that I think has potential. I'm not there just yet, but we did see the share price rally on Thursday, 5th of December. It went up 3.8%, went to sort of a long-term high, maybe a 5-month high, which is fair enough. And we did see a lot of selling during the week. Even though it did go down 1.78% on Friday, not a lot of selling. So if we do see the share price start to move upwards, that would be a good move for Monadelphous. Definitely, I'll put this below the other 5 companies I've talked about. Is it 5? Yeah, 5 companies I've talked about. So this would be sort of below Tabcorp. Now onto a recent listing. AAL, Alfabs, Australia. I wonder if they have anything to do with abs. Powerlifting, something like that. Pretty sure not. I'm pretty sure this has something to do with labs. I have no idea. I've not had a look at this company. What was it called? Alfabs. I'm assuming it's laboratories. Apparently they've got Alpha Labs. Is it Alpha Labs? Alfabs. Alfabs. There's no L there. Engineering services. Yeah, that completely wrong. I was thinking laboratories, maybe science. Engineering services in the Hunter Valley, mining and engineering services. This is another mining company or mining services company. Boil makers, just by looking at what I could work there as. I saw boil makers, mechanical fitters, diesel fitters, site construction worker, painter blaster. So this is another company that will be affected by any sort of downturn in mining. Now, the reason I'm interested in this is just how the share price has gone since they listed. I don't remember this company releasing anything, although I might have missed it. Alfabs. I'm just going to go back 1 year. So they released results in August. Yeah, there's no profit upgrade. They did release the results in August, but nothing positive. But the market likes it. Share price in an uptrend. So if this company releases a positive trading update, profit upgrade, that would be quite positive for the chart. So this is one of the recent IPOs whose chart looks pretty good. The other one is Barguan, because this company did release a profit upgrade recently, if I remember correctly, and the share price popped up. I want to see the share price go a little bit higher because it did fall a little bit on Friday. Anyway, so back to Alfabs. Oh, must be tea. It is tea. Back to Alfabs. Yeah, I quite like this chart, but again, no any sort of positive announcement from the company. And the other thing I should mention is the volume. We saw a pretty big spike in volume on Thursday, so that could be just a cross trade, but no significant decrease in volume. But I would like to see a continued increase in volume from here. That would tell me a fair bit. Now I'm just going to move this company up. And it's called SSR Mining, gold miner. They have a project they did have a project in Turkey. There was a mine collapse or something in Turkey on the 14th of February 2024. It was longer than that. Share price dropped 52.4%. And we saw in the past week and a bit, the share price of this company just take off like a rock. Share price went from about $9 up to $12.50 in a very short period of time. And on Friday, it did pull back a little bit, which is understandable because price of gold pulled back. So I would expect SSR Mining share price to pull back further on the Monday session. But this one just took off. And this must be traded on another exchange because you can see massive gaps in the share price from day to day. And that's the hallmarks of a company that is traded on another exchange. So NASDAQ, there you go, NASDAQ. Oh, and Canadian, TSX. So it's traded on 3 exchanges. And you can see that this is the sort of chart you would expect to see. I can see a massive drop on the 13th of February, because that's Canadian time. And then for some reason, share price just took off and has pulled back. I expect a further pullback. In fact, we're just going to have a look at the NASDAQ. Is it similar than the Canadian? Yeah. And that's why the SSR chart in Australia looks really weird. You see the massive gaps we don't see in the other charts. That's because it's traded on those exchanges. And we, as investors in Australia, know what happened to the share price over there. So you'll see the share price pop up on open or down on open, just based off what happened on those other exchanges. That's why you see these massive gaps up. Okay, so I'm going to move on to 2 charts that look negative. So 2 negative charts. And I'm a holder of one, not a holder of the other. First one is Audinate. And to be honest with you, I would not mind if the share price keeps on dropping. So they released something negative on the 6th of August. There would have been bad results or a bad outlook. I forget now. Share price on that day dropped 36%. We saw some buying coming in the next few days. I wouldn't get excited about that. That would be people saying or seeing that big drop and going, oh, there's really good value now. And interesting enough, the share price went to the shorter term moving average channel and then dropped out. It sort of rallied again back in October and then dropped away. And we continue to see share price just drifting lower, and the share price is moving towards the bottom of the share price range on the 6th of August, the day it fell a fair bit. The low on that day was 650, yeah, 650. Right now it's 730. I couldn't imagine share price of this company dropping to those levels again, 650, maybe even lower. So if I continue to see it dropping from here, and I do think this company has really good potential. I think this is one of those instances where there's a short-term, short-term troubles. Maybe not troubles is the right word. Some short-term hiccup. Yeah, a short-term hiccup in the company. The market is much more short-sighted than the experts would have you think. It's very short-term sighted, the markets, in my opinion. And if this company releases something positive, the share price will start to go up fairly quickly. Anyway, so market cap is 609 million, and if it continues to drop, I will add to the position. It's just how far will it drop? So at 650, I'll be much more keen. So I want to drop a little bit more from here. So that's Audinate. The chart does not look good. If I was trading this, I would not be in at all. There's no way I'll be trading this if I was just trading it. The other company is Ramsay Health. I still remember walking with someone back in 2014 or 15 and saying to this person, I think this might be one of the highest quality companies on the ASX. And I think that could have been true back then. So this would have been, At that point in time, the share price was in a beautiful uptrend, and the company was financially hitting it out of the ballpark. It was a beautiful chart, great financial performances, increase in profits, that sort of thing. And the fun times came to an end probably in 2017. Share price reached its high in August 2016 at $84. Oh, it actually did get to a high, but I'm pretty sure the high in April 2022 was a takeover bid. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And if you have a look at the weekly chart, you can see two things. Beautiful uptrend, which occurred over an 8-year period. Share price went from $8 to $84, so a 10-bagger. Share price then went sideways for a long period of time, and now the share price is in a downtrend. So how long is this downtrend going to continue? We just don't know. It's a perfectly constructed chart. Uptrend, going sideways, downtrend, sort of a wave-like pattern. There must be a word for this. This is just, this is very normal. You see this a lot. Anyway, so I would never consider, that's the wrong way to say it, because I once did say it was high quality. I would not call Ramsay Healthcare right now as a high quality company. So I would not look at this chart or the share price or valuation of this company and think, oh, it's really good value. I would just be trading this right now. And in fact, in the last week, it was a pretty bad week. Yeah, did they release anything? I don't remember. Share price dropped 8.3% in the week. That's pretty bad. They must have released something. I can't remember them releasing anything, though. No, they didn't release anything. They haven't released anything for a while. In fact, the last price-sensitive announcement this company released was probably their results in August. Yep, results in August. So obviously there is negative sentiment in this company right now. Yeah, negative sentiment, share price is dropping, just dropping and dropping. You'll notice there's the little periods where the share price rallies. Again, same thing happens when the share price is in an uptrend. You see this little buy the dip situation. So same thing's going on here. Maybe you could say it to the shorters. This is the buy the short the dip opportunity. Yeah, short the dip opportunities, these. Share price moved to, not an all-time low, moved on Friday to, I'd say it's about a 12-year low. The last time share price was at 36.91 was in 2013. So 11-year low in the share price. Again, one of the reasons why I've included Ramsay Health is because I've heard this company pop up a little bit more. People going, oh, it looks pretty good value. I'm going, oh, I don't know. I'm not going to give anyone advice. That's me saying it to myself. I don't know if this is a good value. It says the PE ratio is 9.67%. Dividend yield is 2.17%. I don't know. Anyway, so whatever floats your boat, if you think this is good value, go for it. But I'm just looking at the chart and going, oh, it's an ugly, ugly chart. Okay, that's all I have for this particular video. It went a little bit longer than I expected, 57 minutes. If you have any questions, any thoughts, leave those in the comment section of this video. And I'm going to set up my BBL team because it kicks off in about 3 hours' time after the last session in the cricket. Congratulations to Travis Head, another century, and Steve Smith must be 65 or something, 66. Crick info, 67. 3 for 2, 3, 4, 65. I was close. Partnership, 159. It looked a little bit dodgy this morning after Lamashane got out. I think if they got another wicket, they would have been feeling very confident, the Indians. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on from this. And I do have 2 night shifts. I will release a video tomorrow. Probably just one video I'll record because I'm in between night shifts. I'm not insane. Anyway, so look out for that. I'll release that on Monday evening, probably about 6 p.m. roughly, depending what time I record it. Anyway, so if you have any questions, any thoughts, leave those in the comment section of this video, and I'll answer those questions or reply to your comments. Anyway, so have a good day, have a good weekend, and that's it. Bye. See you later. And don't forget, I'm not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.